extraordinaire, the gemologist.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geomologist Presents. Today, I have a special guest, and that guest is Ben Burns, author and owner of New Comet Games. How are you doing today,
Hey,
Ben?
doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. So, I've met Ben a few times at various conventions, and he's kindly agreed to come on and talk about his games that New Comet puts out. I've known him for his contributions to Call of Cthulhu and now to Savage Worlds and also to Top Secret New World Order, among others. And we're just going to have a chat. So, Ben,
Sounds great.
how did you become a gamer?
Oh gosh, I've been a gamer since I was about 4 years old. So
Oh, okay. Uh-oh.
it's just something I was drawn to at a very early age. I had two older brothers, and it was my way of being able to keep up with them, right? Because they
Hmm.
were older than me, faster, stronger. So I had a hard time keeping up with them physically, but when it came to playing games, I could keep up with them. So that's is something I've always been drawn to and always enjoyed. So
Did your older brothers introduce you to the hobby, to like specifically role-playing games or?
no, that was just something I did on my own. So
Okay.
by the time I may not look as old as I am, but I probably do. By the time D&D and stuff came out, they were already starting to, they weren't into games anymore as
Hmm.
I was, and so they were into girls and cars. So,
Uh-oh.
and I hadn't quite got there yet. So anyway, read about Dungeons and Dragons, and you know, I uh, I took the plunge and had no idea what I was doing. It was went to the hobby store, which was like a train store. Of course,
Hmm.
that's where they kept things back in the '70s, and found uh, the colored box. I don't even remember who did it now, and I used to know that the one with all the multicolors that said Basic Dungeons and Dragons,
Hmm.
and bought that one and took it home and read it and had no idea what this was. This was so different than anything I had ever played before. I'm like, where's the board? Where are the pieces?
Yeah.
And so I go back to the game store and I buy the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons box, which was the miniatures.
Oh.
Right? And I'm like, how many boxes do you have to buy to play this game?
Yeah.
Um, Luckily, then about that time, a friend of mine called me and said, have I ever heard of this game?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I've got it, but I have no idea how to play it." And he says, "Well, we've just started a group. Come join us." And took off from there. So that was in the late '70s, and
Yeah.
I've been doing it pretty much ever since. So.
Oh, great. Yeah. So, when were you, did you always like read Lovecraft and other Cthulhu stuff? Because I've met you because I played in your playtest games for Call of Cthulhu. So, how did you get into Call of Cthulhu then?
Well, of course, I had the original deities and demigods that had the Cthulhu stuff in
Oh,
it,
yeah, I
and
did.
that
Yeah.
always that Jim Ward put in there,
Mhm.
and had perfect rights to do so. Had a nice conversation with him before.
Mhm.
And anyway, um, it always attracted me, the Cthulhu stuff and how it worked. And then I started reading. I can read his short stories. I love his short stories. I don't care for his really long stuff, like The Mountains of Madness. That one's a difficult read, stuff like that. But
Mhm.
I've always read the books, but never really got into the Call of Cthulhu role playing game. I'd played it once or twice in the '80s, and then probably about 15 years ago, really got heavy back into it again and started writing. I'd been writing my own stuff for Dungeons and Dragons for since the early '80s, and so this was no great leap to jump to writing for Call of Cthulhu. So
Mhm. So, do you have anything published or author credit for Dungeons and Dragons stuff that you know
I mean,
about?
I have some. I have some stuff written
Yeah.
that's out there just using the open gaming license. I
Oh, okay.
didn't write. I didn't write for TSR until Top Secret came along.
Okay.
But yeah, uh, but yeah, I've put out 4 or 5 adventures for Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, I have to check those out. Or are they on drive through, or do you remember what?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Okay,
I think so. So,
cool. So
um,
through New Comet also. That's good to know. Didn't know that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've stopped doing it because of Hasbro, but yeah, that's you
Okay.
know.
Okay. Well, it'd be fun to check those out too. So tell me about New Comet Games. What's it all about? How did you get it started, or what was
Oh,
the drive?
all right. The drive. Well, it wasn't always New Comet Games. I had a name before New Comet Games, but
Oh, the,
my wife made me change it. So
okay.
I had originally called it Dark Cult Games, and
Yeah.
uh, but I uh, was just making stuff, creating stuff, and going to. I had started back into the role playing world pretty heavy when I started going back to North Texas RPG Con,
Hmm.
best convention run out there, and everybody kept telling me I need to start printing the stuff and publishing it, and
Mm.
so finally I had one called The Star on the Shore. I was really proud of it. I had run it a few times and everybody really enjoyed it. It was a nice Call of Cthulhu adventure set in the 20s up at Rockport, Massachusetts. And so I ordered, I got some artwork done for it and
Hmm.
thought, well, I'll do a Kickstarter for it. And, Kickstarter was real big at the time and helping people get going. Now it's a little more of a different mechanism. I still use it, but it's not what it was,
Mm.
10
Interesting.
years ago. So anyway, I got some artwork done. The art's magnificent. I found this guy who was a starting artist who his rates were very reasonable until Chaosium decided they liked the art so much they started using him too. This rate's got too high for me. But and I posted it on chaosium.com or on the Chaosium's Facebook
Hmm.
page. And I said, hey, I'm going to run this Kickstarter. I hope y'all come and do it. And Mike Mason from Chaosium, excuse me, contacted me and said, you can't do that.
Oh no.
And I said, well, what do I need to do? And he said, well, you have to get a license. I said, well, how do I get a license? And he replied back, well, you have to talk to me. I said, well, can I have a license? He said, okay. Uh, so he sent me the license agreement. We do that. That doesn't work anymore. Now they have a whole different, but I kind of got in before the whole Miskatonic repository and all that
Oh, okay.
stuff. And
Yeah.
they were looking for people to put out a few more products for them. They've been
Hmm.
happy with my work. So now I've got five different Cthulhu books out now. I think that's right. So one, two, three, four, five, six different Cthulhu books out. So I'm pretty happy with all of those and working on a 7th right now. So
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about because I played. You have like a Call of Cthulhu. So the Star, the say that again. The Star on the Shore. Is that the what it's called?
yeah, Star on the Shore was my very first book. It was
Yeah,
pretty
that was.
rough, but it was a lot of fun. So
Mhm. And then you had one set. You have one set in uh, um, Central America.
yeah, that's called The Time for Sacrifice, and
Hmm.
it's all set at different Mayan ruins. So it's a
Oh.
1920s also, but it Mayan ruins. I have
Mhm.
another one called Devil's Swamp, and it's 1920s also, and they're all set in um, the Hockomock Swamp in Massachusetts.
Oh,
So
okay.
for those who aren't familiar with the Hockomock Swamp, go look it up. It's a great little place for adventures. So it's called the Devil's Triangle on land, and so
Oh,
it's pretty cool. And the
neat.
Hockomock Swamp is like the heart of it. So
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, so you take real world. So I guess that's something curious, and maybe this is a good time to ask that. So you take real world inspiration for your Call of Cthulhu adventures. I know,
oh
especially
yeah,
when we talk about the
absolutely.
trilogy, we'll definitely get into that a little more. But or maybe we'll do it now. Like the first one I played was the one that takes place in Mexico
Oh yeah, yeah. So that one's the horror at El
or
Dorado
El Dorado.
Royale.
Hmm.
And El Dorado Royale is a great resort. Highly recommend it. Just don't go on the tour. So, they'll offer you a tour. It's a timeshare thing. So we did not do that, and it's great. but it's
Mm-hmm.
a wedding destination resort, and so they'll do 3, 4, 5 weddings a day. That's not uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
And I went down there for my niece's wedding, and uh, it just the I've always loved. I was a big Supernaturals fan. I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
many of your followers watch Supernatural, and the very first episode was a La Llorona
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
thing, and
Mm-hmm.
always wanted to do something in Mexico with La Llorona, and so this is based on that mythology there. Um, and so it's a fun little adventure, I think. So
Yeah, and then you have a follow-up to that.
right. So this is actually so I'm writing a trilogy, and
Mm-hmm.
the third one's the one I'm working on right now to put out. But the first one's set in Mexico, where a group of college friends go
Mm-hmm.
to for their friends' destination, college mates' wedding, and then they decide, and that was set in 2023, 22. God, I can't remember now. Had to be 22,
Mm-hmm.
2022. So there's actually a COVID tie into it and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. When bad things happen, and COVID is the reason they had to shut down the resort. I
Yeah.
don't know if you remember that from the game,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but and then so the next year, the same group of players go to Japan, and my son lives in Japan right now, so I went for a visit there, and the Mount Fuji is a fantastic place. If you ever get a chance to go, definitely go there. And there's these ice caves at the base of Mount Fuji. And to
Mm.
get to one of the ice caves, they're set in the Agagora Forest, the Suicide Forest.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like it called that, but that is a you have to walk about a kilometer through the
Mm.
forest to get to the cave, and it is a creepy, creepy walk.
Mm.
You look. It's one of those ones like a horror film where the trail just kind of narrows down into the woods, both directions, and you're the only one there, and the trees look like they're going to get up and walk at any minute. It's an ancient forest, and it's fantastic. It really is, and it's a great setting for the Japan one. I don't know if you've had a chance to play in that one or not.
Yeah,
The
I
ice
did. I
caves.
played at CupacabraCon
Oh,
last year, right
yeah,
before the
yeah,
Kickstarter ended, I believe. So,
yeah,
like,
yeah. What'd you think of that one?
oh yeah, it's fun. I mean, I want to get it to the table. We've run an actual play of the horror El Dorado Royale
Yeah,
on our channel. And it would be great to do Ice Caves of Mount Fuji because it's the same characters, like you said, just you know,
yeah.
a
Actually,
couple years
level them
later.
up.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Well, it's 1 year later. So
Oh,
from
okay.
2022, and then that's in 2023. And the timeline's important because the last one's set in 2024,
Mm,
and it's called Eclipse over Bonham.
yeah.
And so Bonham State Park in Texas has this very strange structure built
Hmm.
inside the park, and it's these weird seats that are in this arch around this altar. It's the
Mm.
best way to describe it. And there's this Aztec looking chimney off to one side, and the the arch. Did you not get to play in this one
No,
at
I
all?
haven't done that
No,
one yet.
I've stopped play testing it now. It's in
Yeah, yeah.
production for the book
Sure.
right now. But yeah, it's so weird. And I actually saw this. I run a Boy Scout troop too, and we were there camping, and we found this place. I was like,
Mm.
"Oh my gosh, I got to write something around this. This screams Cthulhu all over it."
Yeah.
And then in 2024, the solar eclipse went directly over this spot.
Yeah.
So you have about 4 minutes of eclipse time directly over this altar, basically. And so it almost wrote itself. The adventure runs great, and the players, and again, it's the same group of player characters, just advanced up levels every time. I roll for their skills and stuff like
Oh,
that.
that's really cool. Yeah.
And they lost some sanity, but they're better prepared too. They carry more equipment. Matter of fact, Leo, everybody loves Leo. I don't know if you remember Leo or not.
Yeah.
He's actually packing a gun by the time we get to the
Oh,
last
wow.
one.
He's the one. He's like the rich kid, right? Is Leo the rich?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. It comes from oil money.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
anyway, but it's
The other favorite that people I've seen is the coach. the guy's the coach.
Oh yeah, the coach. Yeah,
Yeah,
well, he's fun,
yeah.
and all the characters is cool because all the characters have a background, and their backgrounds change every adventure as
Oh,
well.
neat.
As
Yeah,
they,
that's cool.
they're in their early, late 20s, and that's usually the time most people are progressing in life and making big life changes. And they're
Hmm.
moving through things, and a lot of that's happening in several of the characters as they're
Yeah.
trying to move their careers forward. So they're once a year they fight demons and stuff, and then the other or Cthulhu monsters, and then the rest of the year they're trying to keep their lives moving forward,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that can be a tough balance.
Yeah. It's not quite Four Seasons meets Call of Cthulhu, but
Yeah,
but they do have they go to a vacation every year, right? So that's what's kind
yeah, they had started doing these vacations. I think they've stopped. I'm not sure
of
if we'll see a fourth one. I am taking a
yeah.
vacation to Hawaii this year. uh,
Uh-oh. Oh, there's plenty of I'm sure there's plenty
but
of
I'm,
stuff,
oh
plenty of
yeah, there's
inspiration in Hawaii.
yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I actually already got a plot in mind. I'm just not sure what year to put it in. So
Yeah,
if
we
it's a
could.
modern day, we
Yeah.
may do the last group again. So
Oh,
who knows?
that'd be fun. You could do the old Brady Bunch dual adventure, right? Where they go to
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, well, now you start talking about licensing.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, it's
so,
all right.
but yeah,
Well, that's good. So
it's a lot of fun.
another really cool, I think, because I feel like the fans had been clamoring about it for a long time. Since speaking about Call of Cthulhu and time periods, I think one of your coolest products, um, is Corsairs of Cthulhu.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things. I've always loved pirates, and I
Yeah,
always wondered
who
why
doesn't?
they never put out a pirate book. Of course,
Mhm.
Chaosium did put out one. Oh God, what's the
It's
name?
a
Blood
BRP.
Waves.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Blood
with the
Cove or something.
BRP.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have that book. So
Mhm.
I use that as some basis for some stuff. But yeah, I there was never a Cthulhu with pirates, and
Mhm.
so I came out with Corsairs of Cthulhu. Pitched the idea to them. They loved it. So it's been probably one of my biggest books I've ever done. It's almost
Yeah.
300 pages
Hmm.
because it's a full period book. It has a full campaign in it, and it has, I don't know, almost a dozen appendices in the back, I think, with all the, because I did a ton of research on pirates.
Mm.
I read so many books, and so went to a ton of museums, and we did pirate cruises. And my son thinks I need to put out more pirate books so we can do more research on them.
Well, I mean, there's plenty of room in that campaign because it's like a point crawl. It's like a Savage
Yeah,
Worlds point crawl. And I was going to ask you, I've never, is that by design, right? Because a little spoiler here, they kind of they go really far, and there's a lot of time, I would say, in between chapters, right? So,
yeah. And you could, I mean, you could do that, but actually, I am working on the next book after the Eclipse over Bonham is going to be another Corsairs book. It's going to
oh,
be a
great.
follow up book
Oh,
with just four or five standalone adventures in it that you could
hmm.
run. A lot of people have asked me to do something like this because of, they did the campaign, and they're like, when are you coming out with more stuff? So I'm
Hmm.
gonna, and I put some plot hooks and
Yeah.
ideas in the original book, but I didn't flush any of them out, and I think people are looking for that.
Mm.
So I've actually started play testing. I did the first adventure. I think Chupacabra is the first time I ran it,
Hmm.
and it went over really well. I don't. You weren't in any of those, if
No,
I recall. So,
no.
but yeah, the players loved it, and it was funny because it's a very wide open. You can do just about anything you want type of game. You get
Hmm.
stuck in a position, and you're, okay, what do you want to do? And I've run it twice, and the two groups did almost the exact same thing,
Hmm.
and then both of them ended up with almost the exact same results. With percentage, you're always looking at percentage. How many died? How many went insane? And how many lived and were good?
Hmm.
And it was almost identical for both groups, even though they followed almost the exact same path. So I'm wondering if the path is two obvious, or should I throw in some more different stuff to, so that's why you play test this stuff, is just see
Yeah.
how it works out. So, and conventions are a great place because you get so many different eyes and ideas thrown at your adventure, and people come up with things uh, like the ice caves one. Players are given this incredible power that basically they're limited only by their imagination. And uh, I ran it probably about 8 or 9 times beforehand because it was so different, and I wanted to make sure I had a grasp. And it was great because one group did very much what I expected them to do. Here's what I expect players to do. When I write stuff, I always kind of do it that way, but then I like to leave it open ended.
Hmm.
And I encourage players to come up with ideas that challenge me and make me grow as a author, to come up with different situations. And then you get the next group of players, and they come up with stuff you never considered in your life. And you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to handle this? Okay, no, it didn't have that, but it does now. It's,
Yeah, that's neat. Yeah.
uh, and that's part of why you play test the adventures, and you want to make sure it's been through a good rigmarole. So,
Right.
uh,
So, well,
yeah.
so you do play test around that, then like 8 to 9
Yeah,
times, 10 times as you do the
usually
circuit,
not
or
that much. At this point, I feel like I can get a pretty good grasp on it after about 5 or 6 runs.
okay.
At 6 players a pop, 6 to 8 players a pop. That's almost 50 different people looking at the adventure, as well as
Hmm.
my editors, and I have proofreaders and stuff like
Right.
that. So, um, you get that many people, different eyes on the game, and you can catch most of the holes and stuff. And then nice thing about role playing games is, it's on the GM. And if the keeper still needs to be able to handle those situations that aren't covered in the book.
Mm.
That's just part of being a keeper. So,
Yeah.
what happens when they burn down the house on the
Right.
haunted house, or whatever, the a haunting. I think that's
Yeah,
it.
and the haunting.
Yeah. What happened? It doesn't have it in the book. What happens if they just burn down the house, right?
Right.
So, as a keeper, you need to be able to handle those kind of situations. So,
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. So I guess you have written some Cthulhu stuff. So how is it like? So I know a criticism of Call of Cthulhu is that if you don't find the clue, the adventure ends. Do you try to
oh,
design around that, or how do you, or do
um,
you, or is that like, is that hogwash? I guess.
I think that's kind of hogwash. There's always different ways to complete every adventure, and I
Hmm.
always try to put in multiple ways.
Hmm.
And it's more of, if you find the clue, then it's easier to complete the adventure. If you don't find the clue, it's more difficult. But usually, I never make any clue so critical that they can't solve the mystery without it. If I feel like they need this clue to solve the mystery, they always find it. There,
Hmm.
you
It's
don't even
obvious or
roll
something.
for it.
Yeah.
You just, oh, you find this. If it's that important and that crucial, then give it to them.
Hmm.
Why try to hide it? Because if you do and they don't find it, you've ruined your adventure,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So that that's just the way I believe. I hate for any adventure to be ruined. Is people are spending their time and their hours, and the biggest complaint is trying to get people together to play a game, which is one of the reasons I like conventions. You kind of
Yeah.
have a captured audience.
Hmm.
um Even though you still have people who don't show up to the table, but they get too drunk, too tired. But uh if people are going to take their time out of their lives to come try to have a good time, why are you going to ruin it with something that you know it could just as easily be given to them? If you want them to have it, give it to them. That's
Yeah, it's
uh
good. All right. Well, let's steer away from Call of Cthulhu because that's not all New
sure.
Comet does. Um, so I guess you're how much Savage Worlds are you doing other than Zeta Complex?
For me, Zeta Complex is the only thing I do for Savage Worlds. I've
Okay.
looked at doing some other stuff, but really it's a time constraint issue. I only
Hmm.
have time to write for so much, and I have so many things on the back burner to do
Mm.
that I would love to write for. Um, uh, oh gosh, I can't remember it. It's the same people who put out the East Texas University. They
Oh
put out
yeah,
the
Pine
kids one.
Box. Yeah, Pine Box,
Yeah,
Texas.
Pine
Yep.
Box Elementary.
East Texas
I've
University. Yep.
yeah, I've talked to them about writing for that, and I would love to do that. You know, of course, I'm a big Stranger Things fan. Who
Hmm.
isn't? And of course, this is modern day, and I love what they did with the cell phone things. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Hmm.
How they handled that is you basically draw a card, and that's how good your phone reception
Oh, that's pretty
is.
good. That's nice.
And
Yeah.
it's everywhere from you got a full signal to you got no signal. So it's very
Hmm.
random, and I
Hmm.
love that kind of stuff. And in East Texas, your phone signals are pretty much like that. Uh,
Yeah.
because I lived part of my life out in East Texas in that area. It's kind of
Hmm.
based around Commerce, Texas, and my parents moved to Cooper, Texas, which is just
Yeah.
20 miles from there. So I'm very familiar with that area. So I would love to write something for them when I have time. But when am I going to have time? So, but yeah, I wrote Zeta Complex, and it's some people don't like it because it's savage paranoia, and I'm like, well, what's wrong with that? We savage everything else in the world, but I think it's so much better than paranoia. I
Mm.
like it a lot better. I loved paranoia back in the '80s. I thought it was great. I ran campaigns of it. Um, I still have the original first edition box set, even though it's lovingly used, it's still in pretty good shape. and uh, I would. I started for North Texas. I started running a paranoia game every Thursday. It was
Mm.
kind of uh, kick off the convention with this paranoia adventure. And Doug Ray, who started the con, asked me to do that every Thursday. And so
Mm.
he actually moved it into the main room right by the registration desk so people could see this fun game being run every year.
Hmm.
And he had to move us to a private room because we were always so loud and laughing so hard we could do that. Well, I ran one game, and it was called Maybe Clones Aren't Such a Good Thing. And um, I got a standing ovation at the end of the game, which
Mm.
I never got before. I thought, oh my gosh, this is so great. Everybody's like, you got to print this up so that it's not lost, right? Because
Hmm.
this was before I was into doing publishing, and new Comet Games was not a thing yet. So I wrote it up, printed it up, got some high school girl to do $50 art for it, and I gave a copy to the players, and I thought, well, this is cool. And so when I started getting into publishing and doing the stuff for Chaosium and things like that, and I was putting stuff up on drive through, I went ahead and put the PDF of this up there. And I got contacted, and I had it up there for like 99 cents or something, just a ridiculous amount. And I got contacted by the people who make Paranoia and said, you can't do that. We're doing a cease and desist. I said, well, I was pretty, uh, you know, obvious that I wasn't doing any kind of copyright violation. I was very particular about all the terms I used, and I left out anything that would, other than the suggestion this is a paranoia game, right? And so the people at Drive Through said, we don't care. It's up to them. So I contacted them again and said, listen, I've got about half a dozen, 6 to 8 of these paranoia adventures I've been running every year. Um, and you've just come out with a brand new system. You have no product for it at all, no support. I can be putting these things out every other month and get you some stuff. And then I'll just send you a check every quarter, and you have to do nothing.
Hmm.
And I said, here's some, and I sent them PDFs of like Star on the Shore and Devil Swamp. I think at that point I'd already won an award for Devil Swamp.
Hmm.
And I said, this is the quality of product I can put out. And here's the adventure. And I sent them a free copy of the Maybe Clones. aren't such a good thing. And they came back and said, well, the adventure's great. We see you can do great work, but we're not interested in working with you. So sorry, this is a long story, but
Yeah,
I
that's fine.
I tried to write my own game system for a couple of years, and I was play testing it and things like that. And finally, um, Sean Robinson uh, played in my game and
Hmm.
said afterwards, he said, "Wow, it was really great. Have you considered doing this in Savage Worlds?" And I said, "Well, no, I've never played Savage World. I don't know what that is." And I said, "I don't really want to learn a new game system." And he said, "Well, you've written Savage Worlds." So I was
Hmm.
shocked by that
Hmm.
and looked into it. And I hadn't written Savage Worlds, but a lot of the same base mechanics were the same. And they covered all the holes that I still had to fill,
Mm.
vehicles and robots and
Yeah,
all this
yeah.
stuff. And so I contacted Pinnacle, and they said, "Hey, you're an ace writer, go for it." And so
Nice.
Zeta Complex came out. So
That's cool. Yeah. That's
pretty
really
happy
cool.
with it.
Yeah, so
It's
more or less it's paranoia with all with the ironically all the serial numbers filed off, right? Since it's a
Yeah.
conspiracy game, right? So,
But it's got a lot more than Paranoia ever had.
hmm.
I consider it more of a mix between Paranoia and Gamma World, and then I'm a huge Hitchhiker's fan, so there's
Hmm.
some the zaniness of Hitchhiker's Guide in there as well. There's even a rule of 42 in the book.
Oh, cool.
So if you can hit 42, the improbability will happen.
Hmm.
Um, so it's a lot of different things, and I think I fixed a lot of the problems that Paranoia had.
Hmm.
Paranoia is a great game. I loved it, but it had serious problems when it came to trying to run it as a campaign. And
Mm.
so I think I have fixed a lot of those issues. You don't have a fixed number of clones now. You can go to the outside world a lot. Matter of fact, most of the adventures take place in the outer world.
Hmm.
Actually, have an outer world map.
Ooh.
um,
Hmm.
on the upcoming books, we're planning on having a layout of the known parts of Zeta Complex. You can kind of tell where to go and have some maps of some different areas and stuff like that. So it's not all blindly, the way Paranoia did it. They just didn't want to put out anything, so they just said, "Oh, it's all classified. You can't see it." But it made it difficult to run things
Mm.
because you had nothing to base it off. You just so anyway, but yeah, so that's kind of where Zeta Complex came from. So
Oh, that's cool. So there are more products coming out aside from I think I have like the screen and the main book, that's the first book that's come out. So the
yeah,
adventures are out there as well, or are they all in that?
you, we have the one adventure. We have a couple of one-page adventures out on drive through,
Hmm.
and then that are, I think it's pay what you want.
Hmm.
And then um we have, and actually this is a book I'm working on right now. The Cthulhu, the Eclipse is after the book I'm working on now, and
Hmm.
it's called Robots and Roller Coasters, They're to Die For.
Hmm.
And it's a great adventure that
Hmm.
has been run by multiple GMs, and uh it's a lot of fun, and everything can kill you, of course.
Yeah,
It probably does. So
cool.
um but yeah, I'm probably looking at kickstarting that in the next 2 months.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm
Okay.
yeah.
Very cool.
Lady named Vicky, who used to work and did a lot of Paranoia stuff and Shadowrun stuff. She wrote this, and I'm having to go back through and rewrite it for modern day game, you know, the layout design.
Hmm.
But it's coming along great, and the artwork is just looking fantastic. We're going to do kind of a retro where it's color cover and black and white art inside.
Oh,
So
neat. Yeah, very cool.
yeah,
Very cool. All
so
right.
very very happy with it.
Yeah. So the other game that I've seen you comment have is Top Secret, the New World Order. Is that New
Yeah,
World Order?
so
Yeah, New World Order, right?
yeah, New
Yeah.
World Order, and of
Hmm.
course, um, they the people who did that got Merle Rasmussen to write a new version of it, and this
Hmm.
was at the same time that WotC let TSR logo go,
Hmm.
and so Jason Elliott snagged it up started a new company, TSR, and his first big product he came out with was Top Secret New World Order, which did great. And I loved it. I loved Top Secret from back in the 70s and 80s.
Hmm.
And Merle Rasmussen was always one of my heroes. And now we're good friends, and it's it's kind
Yeah,
of
he
always
he makes the
weird.
rounds at the conventions too, so
Yeah, and I've
it's really
gotten to
cool.
spend so much time with him, and it's just he's a wonderful man.
Hmm.
And he wrote this version, and uh, as soon as it was released, I already had my license and everything lined up to produce the first book, which was called Deep Freeze, and it launched on Kickstarter the day that the box was released. And the
Mm.
idea was I wanted to just flow. Had a second book, Arctic Blast, lined up right afterwards,
Mm.
and things went pretty smoothly. Um, I don't write for them anymore, so I'm not going to be producing anymore. We have several lined up, but uh, I unfortunately I don't think the support for Top Secret is there,
Mm.
and
Yeah, it's a fun game. It's a good game. Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
great game. It really is, and I wish it the best, and I hope it keeps going. But it's no longer TSR. They had a whole
Mm.
with Ernie Gygax, and Ernie
Uh,
Gygax now has TSR, and they are now Solarian Games,
mhm.
and they have started putting out some more product
Yeah.
for the game,
Yes.
and
Mhm.
which is good, which was needed. I told them they needed that 5 years or 3 years ago, or whenever
Mhm.
it first came out, and they took a long time, I think, getting that out the door. But I have seen that the game is starting to pick up, so you never know. Maybe we'll jump back into it. I
That'd be cool.
We still have a working relationship with them. I just told them until the game gets more support and takes off a little more, we're probably not going to spend the time on it. But
Yeah, there's some good
yeah,
adventures. Yeah, I run the first one, the Operation, the one that takes place in
Latvia.
Latvia. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that one's so. And what was cool is my daughter-in-law is actually from Latvia, and
Oh,
so she
cool. So
wrote the social. Yeah, she did the social part of that
neat, neat.
book, and it's cool doing modern day stuff like this
Yeah.
because I actually went in on Google Maps, and there's like really good descriptions of the buildings in there. You pull up to the white, stucco building with the red roof. You can go
Yeah,
into
yeah.
Google Maps and actually find it,
That's
and it's,
cool.
but yeah, it's neat. So yeah, I enjoyed the Top Secret. Unfortunately, right now we're kind of concentrating on the other,
On the other
the
stuff, you got a lot of.
Cthulhu and Zeta.
Mm.
I have my hands in a lot of pies on this stuff, but besides doing role playing games, New Comet Games also puts out some board games and card games as well.
Oh, cool.
So,
Yeah, you could talk to
uh,
that briefly if you want.
yeah, so our biggest board game is Ultimate Dinosaur Fighting, where
Mm.
you're pit fighting dinosaurs in the future after you finish cloning them, and Jurassic World and stuff. And matter of fact, in the last, not the newest one, the previous one, Jurassic World, um, they even had a small arena where they were fighting dinosaurs. And I thought, they're stealing these ideas from me. But we were watching the very first Jurassic World one, and I had already released the game, and in the game, you can give the dinosaurs tech upgrades and mutations. And one of the mutations is the chameleon effect, which improves their defensive abilities. And of course, the dinosaur had the chameleon thing and became visible. And in the theater, I yell out, "They stole that!" And my wife's hitting me, "Shut up!" But it was just a funny moment. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's a fun game. It's 2 to 6 players. It actually plays faster with more players. So,
cool.
um, yeah, I love it. It's got one expansion out now. It's in its second printing now, and we're always looking at working on a third expansion. We just haven't gotten around to doing the play testing. COVID kind of put a shot to my
Yeah.
playtest group, and we haven't gotten back together for that. Um, but I still run every convention. It's a good seller for me,
Mm.
and does great. Um, and then we also have out a game called Monster Trap. which was fun. And actually, Ultimate Dinosaur Fighting was one of the main reasons that I started New Comet Games.
Mm.
And it um, but that's another long story. So I'll skip that. But Monster Trap's a family co-op game,
Hmm.
and then I have a card game called Kung Fu Combo, where it's a 20-0 battle game that takes 15 minutes. Take it in your pocket, carry it anywhere, and
Yeah.
and
Okay.
sit down, play anywhere. And then we are about to release a new game called Inner Sanctum, and in this one you are a cultist who has just joined your new cult, and so you're on the outside trying to work your way into the inner
Into the inner
sanctum.
circle. Mm.
Yeah, and you have police raids, and you can hire hitmen, you can get politicians on your side, and
Mm.
all these sort of different things as you try to gather influence and then move your way up the order. And then there's a risky win it all, where you can call on the Dark One to see if he'll choose you to be his favored one, and things like that. So it's very risky. I've never seen it actually work, but it's possible. I've seen it come really close, but
That's
it's
fun.
just one of those things. So it's a fun game, and it takes about 30-45 minutes to play a game, three to
Oh
five
wow.
players.
That's
So
cool. That's a quick game. That's
yeah,
good. That's good.
yeah. I mean, I try to keep my games at 45 minutes or less than an hour is, I think, a good light game, unless you're playing something like Terraforming Mars, or, I like the big long games as well, but I think the smaller ones sell better. It's
Hmm.
it's hard to sell people on this game's going to take you and your group 3 hours,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
if they've never played it, they have a really hard time biting the bullet to buy it, because usually those games are expensive, and then
Yeah.
if they just get it home and don't like it, it's a lot of money that they
Hmm.
put into it for that. But um uh and it's tough building that kind of game these days and putting it out.
Hmm.
It used to be for Kickstarter, and we, bring it back around to where Kickstarter was 10 years ago. You could come out and say, I have this idea for a game. Here's some of the artwork. Here's some of the mechanics. Help me develop this game. And nowadays, you can't do that. Nowadays, it's here. I have the game. It's completely finished. Unless you're a Simon or you're Chaosium, who put out Horror on the Orient Express recently, and they were still playtesting it as they were doing the Kickstarter.
Hmm.
Um, but most other producer like myself, I have to have a full developed game that I could send to play testers and have them test it and give it a review. Even if the art isn't 100% there, or the mechanics might change a little bit, it needs to be about 95% done
Wow.
before you ever hit it on Kickstarter. So
Hmm.
yeah,
That's
things have
cool.
changed over the years. I
It's
think too many
interesting.
people got burnt with things that weren't finished and then never got finished. You
Hmm.
know, People
Yeah.
got the money and ran with it. Unfortunately, it
Yeah.
ruined Kickstarter for a lot of us. So,
Hmm. All right. Well, we'll close out soon because I know you have a hard stop very quickly. So let's do like a
oh
quick
yeah,
fire round with a few questions.
sure.
They're not too hard. So it should be fun. All right. What's your favorite game other than the ones that you design?
Other than the ones I designed, I'm actually a big fan of Muchikoro, and I think that's a lot of fun. And right now, I'm playing Shadows of Brimstone, and I just love that game. There's so much to it, and and Firefly. Uh,
Hmm.
the board game, because
Yeah.
that's almost like role playing. That's board games.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah,
What
those are
about
my probably.
RPG?
RPG, I am a huge Call of Cthulhu fan. I love the idea of the investigation and the finding the clues. If it's run properly and if the game's done right, it
Mhm.
can be just the best game in the world. So, you
Neat.
know,
All right. What's the most challenging aspect of game design?
boy, board games or RPG games. So,
Your dealer's
uh,
choice or
dealer's
players
choice,
no player's choice. Sorry. Player's
player's
choice.
choice. For RPG design, coming up with interesting new ideas that haven't been rehashed. You don't want the same old, stuff all the time. As a matter of fact, in one of my books, um, I did Devil Swamp, the very first adventure. The the Chaosm even said, you're this is this has been done a lot. Do you want to change it? Or you do it? And there's actually a term for that, and I can't remember what it is. That's what
Hmm.
happens when you get old. But so coming up with new and interesting challenges, and you want to make it difficult enough to give the players a challenge, but not so hard that they get frustrated, the game bogs down, and so finding that fine balance between this is just too difficult for them to figure out, and it's just way too easy. I've played in the RPG games where it was just too easy. It's just you get bored quickly. You can tell what's going to happen, two rooms before it happens, and
Hmm.
that gets boring to me. I don't like that, and I guess I don't think other players like that. Maybe they do. I know some people, they like it nice and simple. I don't. I like things to be to where I have to figure out something. If I don't have to figure out something and use my brain a little instead of just rolling dice, then I don't care for that game. So
Hmm.
I like to build a game, and this is something I tell people when I once in a while I'll run workshops on how to write uh, adventures. Is remember, you're not writing for the game master. You're not writing for the guy who's going to read it. You're writing your book for the players who are sitting around his table. So it needs to be clear to him how to present it to the players and stuff, but the eventual target audience of your book is the players, and
Hmm.
trying to find that fine line of this is going to be really fun and this is going to be challenging, but in the end you really want the good guys to win, right? You want the players to win at the end, right? You don't
Hmm.
always want a TPK. That's always a possibility if they do stupid stuff, but you want to make it so that unless they do stupid stuff, there really shouldn't be a TPK. So
Hmm.
finding that fine balance is probably one of the more challenging parts of writing RPGs. Um, with board games, it's more about finding a balance to where it can be finding mechanics that are fun and interesting to the players. And if it's, again, you don't want to just be rolling dice and moving a piece around a board, and oh, I win, that's poor game design. And there's actually lots of books and stuff about creating good board games and what to avoid, what not to avoid, things like that. So
Hmm.
anyway, that's uh
That's cool. What's the most rewarding aspect of game design?
Oh gosh, when you're watching other players play and laughing and high-fiving, there is nothing that beats that. Monster Trap, I was telling you about that game. It's a family co-op game. I've
Hmm.
seen girls as young as 3 years old playing this,
Hmm.
and it's I think I have it rated 6 and up because there's some safety stuff or something.
Hmm.
Anyway, maybe 8, but anyway, I've seen young kids playing it, and I've seen grown men playing it also. And we set it up. We were at ChupacabraCon, which used to be a lot of families there. There's
Hmm.
not so many families anymore, but it used to be a lot of family. So we set up a monster trap game, and we thought a family would play. Well, you didn't. We got like 4 guys, in their 30s and 40s, and we're like, we could do something else if y'all want. They're like, no, no, we'll play it. And by the end, they were high fiving each other and yelling and screaming that they had won. And it's just, then sometimes the mechanics in the game and everything has worked, and that's the most satisfying feeling ever. So
All right.
that
Cool. All right. Last question.
sure.
What's one word to describe New Comet Games?
New Comet Games.
In one word.
One word. Oh my gosh. Um, Fun. We just try to make fun stuff, and it's it. Yeah, I try not to wear. Oh, trope. Trope's the word that. Sorry, that we try not to use tropes. We try to make fun games. Sorry, my
That's
brain works
awesome.
weird.
Yeah, it's great how
But
the brain, yeah, you're just like thinking thing and suddenly boom, it comes
boom, that
through.
word I was looking for. Don't
Yep.
use tropes.
Yep.
Um, so we just try to make games that are fun. Everybody's like, "Oh, this is Ameritrash," or it's not Euro enough for us. I'm
Yeah.
just like, but is it fun? That's what I care about. Are the players having fun? And that's what we always try to strive for. Is we want our games to be fun and not so intense. Some people get too caught up in the game and too. We just want them to be fun and have a good time, and that's what I think
Nice.
more people need to just relax and have fun. So
There you
anyway,
go. Awesome. Well, I have your contact information. I'll put on the show notes and all that kind of stuff. But thank you so
excellent.
much, Ben, for taking the time and telling me about New Comet Games and your game design philosophy and the steps that you've gone through to make these fun and very interesting thinking games because they're not. It's not always straightforward. I've played in your playtests. I
Well, I
love it.
appreciate it, Carl. So yeah, this was a lot of fun. I hope your listeners enjoy it. So
Yeah, I think they will. All right, go check out New Comet Games, y'all. I want to again thank Ben Burns of New Comet Games for coming on to the show and sharing some wonderful stories and anecdotes and his game design philosophy and his games. He seems to have a lot of fun designing, running, etc. And a great guy to chat with if you ever go to some of the conventions in Texas and surrounds. So hope to see you again soon, Ben. And if you guys have any questions, please shoot me a line at geomologist@gmail.com, either a personal message or a DM or a voice message, that is. You can DM me to send me a voice message or a text message. And you can also drop a line on my SpeakPipe account. That would be cool. So I just have the New Comet Games sort of logo as the thumbnail today. Usually my wife Amy does the cover clip art. TJ does the intro and outro music. Thanks again. Good night and good roll.